Well, grandparents have always played an important role in family life, but the role of grandparents to modern families is more important than ever before. So why are grandparents such VIPs in our kids' lives? Let's ask our parenting expert, Claire Orange. Hi there, Claire.
Hi, Emmy.
Now, Claire, our modern families benefit from having the grandparents involved. Tell us more.
Well, you know, we have a changing world now, Emmy. You know, families are far-flung and having those grandparents, whether they're near or far, being involved with our children, it's kind of a long-term investment for our kids. We know that there's better outcomes for our children when they have a strong bond with a grandparent.
Yeah, let's talk about these outcomes. There's actually a link between grandparents' mental health and spending time with their grandchildren, I guess. Also for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the results from studies show that certainly that mental agility in grandparents when they're involved with their grandchildren is improved. So decreased rates of Alzheimer's and decreased rates of depression because they're involved and they have a purpose and they kept on their toes all the time. But you know, we know that it's probably a day a week that's good for grandparents. I know families need them more than that, but you don't get more benefits the more days you use your grandparents.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know.
Well, what does a strong bond between grandparents and a child do for the child?
Right. It's really important, and it's like I said, it's a long-term investment. Certainly in their early years, when children are learning skills like empathy and relationship building, they need to learn that there's a difference in skills between talking to a child their own age, talking to a parent, and then talking to a grandparent. That's a skill, and it also helps them to learn kindness and compassion for, you know, for other people. So it's those skills for our children, they're really rich. And then, of course, in the teen years, when teenage children, like my teenage children, very connected to grandparents. It's a drug-proofing measure because, well, our teens are not too worried about letting their parents down. In fact, you know, it's almost a challenge. Letting a grandparent down who's bonded to that child, that's a big thing.
Yeah. So what are some ways parents can encourage this relationship between grandparents and their children or their grandchildren? Yeah,
and this probably requires a really big discussion, but, you know, in a nutshell, setting up a healthy relationship in the first place is very important, especially if you are going to use grandparents more than, say, a day a week, is that things like discipline, routines, treats can become conflict points in families. So have those discussions before you entrust your little bundle to a grandparent and then get cross that they've disciplined your child in a way you might not like. And then, you know, I think there's nothing worse than having a child who doesn't want to go to a grandparent because they think it's boring. So resource grandparents, books, toys, maybe a high chair, somewhere for the child to sleep if they're younger children, so that the equipment that a child needs in terms of their social and emotional well-being is in place for the grandparent, and the grandparent's not left sort of struggling for things to do.
Some great advice there. Certainly a great relationship to foster, I guess, from the start, right, you know, through the years.
All the way through.
Yeah. Claire Orange, thanks for coming in this afternoon.
Thanks, Emmy.